At first glance, forming a healthy habit, whether it's waking up early to exercise, choosing a home-cooked meal over takeout, or swapping scrolling for stretching, can feel like a constant uphill battle. But beneath the surface of daily choices is a far more flexible and trainable mechanism than most people realize. The brain isn't just passively responding to routines, it actively reshapes itself around them. With the right understanding of how habits are formed and reinforced, you can begin to turn healthy behaviors from chores into cravings, actions you look forward to, not force yourself through. At the heart of this transformation lies what psychologists call the cue routine reward loop, a concept popularized by behavioral science and now backed by neuroscience. It starts with a cue, a trigger in your environment or your internal state, like feeling stressed or waking up. That cue leads to a routine, the behavior you perform in response, say, lacing up your shoes and heading out for a run. Finally, the routine ends in a reward, a feeling of accomplishment, energy, or stress relief that satisfies the brain's desire for resolution. This loop isn't just theoretical, it leaves physical traces in the brain as neural circuits begin to strengthen each time the loop repeats. Here's where it gets interesting. Over time, your brain starts to anticipate the reward as soon as the cue appears. This anticipation triggers a spike in dopamine, the neurotransmitter linked to motivation and desire, not just in response to pleasure, but in expectation of it. Eventually, the brain isn't simply tolerating the behavior, it's craving it. That morning jog or post-meal walk that once felt like effort starts to feel oddly satisfying. Not because the activity itself changed, but because your brain rewired the emotional association tied to it. Of course, one of the biggest hurdles in habit formation is discomfort. Healthy habits often involve short-term inconvenience, waking up earlier, delaying gratification, choosing the more effortful option. But what separates those who maintain their habits from those who give up isn't willpower, it's reframing. When your brain interprets discomfort as a signal of progress, rather than suffering, it begins to seek it out. That burn in your muscles? A sign you're getting stronger. The slight anxiety of a cold shower or new workout? Evidence of adaptation. Every time you choose the uncomfortable but valuable path, you're reinforcing the identity of someone who does hard things. And the brain loves consistency with identity. This is where identity-based habits come in, a concept supported by both psychology and behavioral neuroscience. Instead of focusing on the result, I want to lose weight or I want to be healthy, the shift is toward becoming the type of person who naturally behaves in a healthy way. I'm the kind of person who doesn't miss workouts, or I'm someone who values recovery. When you anchor habits to identity, you engage areas of the brain involved in self-perception and future planning, such as the prefrontal cortex. The actions you take each day are no longer isolated tasks. They become evidence of who you are becoming. Another secret to making this work? Reduce friction. Behavioral change isn't about perfection, it's about ease and repetition. People who stick with habits don't necessarily have more motivation, they have more reliable systems. They set up their environment to minimize resistance. Workout clothes laid out the night before. Healthy snacks within reach. A phone placed out of sight during the first hour of the day. These micro-adjustments reduce the cognitive load required to make the right decision, and the brain responds by embedding the routine more deeply. The process is gradual, but it accelerates. The first few weeks of a new habit might require deliberate effort. But once the neural grooves are laid down, once your brain has begun to link the action with a meaningful reward and a valued identity, the behavior becomes self-reinforcing. You don't just want the outcome, you want the process. This is the deeper truth behind lasting change. Your brain doesn't need to be dragged into discipline. It can be taught to love it. Not in a forced or punishing way, but through the repeated association of small wins, positive feedback, and identity reinforcement. The discomfort becomes familiar. The reward becomes intrinsic. And the habits that once felt like work start to feel like part of who you are. So yes, you can train your brain to crave healthy habits. The key lies in understanding how behavior loops operate, how meaning is assigned to effort, and how identity can be built one small action at a time. Your habits are not a fixed reflection of your personality. They're a living blueprint, one that your brain is always ready to revise.